Welcome to my podcast. Today I will be making predictions, for the 2016-17 NHL season. I will also be predicting player awards as well. I will start with predicting the standings. At 16, the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets just aren't that good, period. Their system is outdated. Even though they have a good goalie, their offense isn't good. Their defense is pretty solid. Their top four is pretty good, but their offense just isn't really good. At 15, the Carolina Hurricanes. Their goaltending is a question mark due to the fact that Cam Ward isn't durable enough. Eddie Lack isn't really that proven in the NHL. They have a pretty good top four defense with Justin Falk, Noah Hannafin, Brett Pesce there, Jacob Slavin. They also have a good slew of young players up front. However, they will go through some growing pains, so they're not expected to do too well. At 14, I have the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres already have two major injuries with Jack Eichel and Evander Kane, but that does not stop the Buffalo Sabres from giving a good effort every night. And that's why I'll put them in front of Carolina and Columbus. Buffalo Sabres have some good skill up front still. The only question I have with the Sabres right now is their goaltending. Can Robin Lehner stay healthy? And when healthy, how consistent can he play? At 13, the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa Senators recently hired a new head coach in Guy Boucher. Guy Boucher's system may be kind of new to some players, so they could experience some growing pains. They're scoring a whole lot, but they're having a whole lot of trouble keeping the puck out of the net. Boucher said that he wanted to play a tighter system, but so far, we're not seeing any of that tighter system. At 12, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs arguably are the most talked about team in the whole NHL. Maybe because they're the media darlings of the NHL, but it's also because Austin Matthews just scored 4 goals in his NHL debut. That may have something to do with it. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and Mitch Marner are very good young players and will probably be stars in the NHL for the foreseeable future. The question I have with the Toronto Maple Leafs is their ability to protect leads and their goaltending right now. Frederik Andersen was brought over to stabilize the goaltending position, but unfortunately, he hasn't really done that. At 11, the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins have a pretty good top six, a pretty good goalie, I would say arguably elite, and a pretty mediocre defense. They don't have a top defenseman. You have a 40-year-old Zdeno Chara, a rookie Brandon Carlo on your top pair. You have a good offensive defenseman and Torrey Krug, but he's not ever going to play above the second pair. He's basically a power play specialist. At 10, you have the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils traded for Taylor Hall, giving up Adam Larson. Now, to the casual fans, it would seem like that the New Jersey Devils won this by a mile, but not many people watched the Devils last season, so they didn't know the significance of how important Adam Larson was to the Devils last season. He was playing on a shutdown pair with Andy Green, which played a lot of minutes, top pair and penalty kill. And not only are the Devils having trouble out of the gate scoring, but their defense is turning the puck over a lot. And if not for Corey Schneider standing on his head the first couple of games, they would have been outscored a lot. At number 9, the Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia Flyers have a good slew of young defensemen with Shane Gosper and even Ivan Provorov. They also have a few young defensive prospects in the system, but they're not due to make the team this year. They also have Travis Konecny, who made the team out of camp. He's anticipated to play with Jacob Voracek and Sean Couturier. That line has already paid dividends. The question mark, as always, about the Philadelphia Flyers is their goaltending. That's always the wild card with the Flyers. If either Michael Neuvirth or Steve Mason steps up, the Flyers could be a playoff team if either Detroit or the Islanders struggle. At number 8, the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders could struggle a bit out of the gate due to the fact they lost 2 key core players of their team in Frans Nielsen and Kyle Okposo. They also lost Matt Martin. They replaced him with Jason Chimero. They did not replace Frans Nielsen. They replaced Kyle Okposo with Andrew Ladd. So I feel like the biggest loss was Frans Nielsen. They don't have a second-line center. So that's the biggest reason why the New York Islanders are struggling a lot out of the gate. Number 7, Detroit Red Wings. Detroit Red Wings are off to a relatively good start, but do not expect them to sustain this pressure. The play is going to drop off a bit. Thomas Vanek is going to disappear in the second half of the season. He's a glider. He always starts off the season hot. But Thomas Vanek may actually do good with the Red Wings this year. Anticipate him to have 25 goals. If Thomas Vanek can return to a 25-goal scorer, that would be great for the Red Wings. The X factor for the Red Wings will be how good the defense does. If Mike Green can return to form that he was with the Washington Capitals, that will be amazing. If not, then hopefully someone else steps up, maybe DeKeyser, but DeKeyser's not really a point-scoring defenseman. At number 6, New York Rangers. New York Rangers, lost Keith Yandel in free agency and didn't really do anything to replace him in defense. They also lost Dan Boyle to retirement. Up front, they added a bunch of key role players in Brandon Pirri and Michael Grabner. And they added a big addition in Jimmy Vesey. Jimmy Vesey will be a key member of the team this year. Henrik Lundqvist is running out of time to win a Stanley Cup. So this and next year may be his last 2 years to win a Stanley Cup because his window in his prime is running out. Number 5, the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal Canadiens will be back in the playoffs because of one reason, Carey Price. And not only that, they added a stud defenseman in Shea Weber due to the fact they traded PK Subban for him. Not saying that PK Subban isn't a good defenseman, it's just that Shea Weber is more experienced defensively and he has more big game experience. At number 4, the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are a really good team now. There was a time when the Florida Panthers weren't so good, but those days are long gone. With the veteran Jaromir Jagr pursuing records and a young Alexander Barkov as his center, and a young Aaron Ekblad anchoring the defense, and an ageless Roberto Luongo turning back the clock, the Florida Panthers are better than ever, and it's going to be hard to beat them. So the Panthers are big contenders this year. At number 3, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby is out to a post-concussion syndrome, or not post-concussion syndrome, but just a concussion. But you always want to be careful with that. So he's going to take his time with that. So it's always a luxury to have Evgeny Malkin on your roster, a guy that can just step in and be a number 1 center. You also have that HBK line. You also have Letang, and you have Fleury. The Penguins are more than okay without Crosby. They're probably the only team that can survive losing a Sidney Crosby. At 2, the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning didn't lose anybody this season. They seemingly retained everyone with the exception of John Marchessault, who they lost to the Florida Panthers, who's off to a great start, by the way. The Tampa Bay Lightning are expected to be major contenders. I expect the Tampa Bay Lightning to make a deep run in the playoffs. And at number 1, the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals, as always, will have a great regular season. They have last year's Vezina Trophy winner in Braden Holtby. They have last year's leading goal scorer in Alex Ovechkin. They have one of the premier rising stars and superstar in Evgeny Kuznetsov. They have a lot of good young talent in Dmitry Orlov. They have some good coaching in Barry Trotz. They have a mixture of everything. So that's my Eastern Conference predictions. Now for the Western Conference predictions. At 14, the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames did not get off to a good start this season. I don't think they won a game yet. And Brian Elliott, the big offseason acquisition in goal, isn't stopping anything. The Calgary Flames aren't scoring many goals either. So the Calgary Flames have to figure it out fast, or they could be out of it before it even begins. Number 13, Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche have pretty good skill up front with Matt Duchene, Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Jerome McGinley, Carl Soderberg. But their defense could be a question mark. They have Nikita Zadorov, Francois Beauchemin, Eric Johnson, Tyson Barrie. But those defensemen aren't really top caliber defensemen. And Semyon Varlamov is a question mark. How consistent can he play? Yeah, he did have 141 win season, but afterwards he kind of disappeared. At 12, Arizona Coyotes. The Arizona Coyotes are an interesting team because they're a relatively young team, which means they're going to go through some growing pains. They'll be an exciting team to watch. You have Oliver Ekman-Larsson, you have Max Domi, Anthony Claire, you have Dylan Strome now, you have Christian Dvorak, you have a lot of good young talent there. But with a lot of good young talent there, you will also have growing pains. So that will rely heavily on Mike Smith. 11, Vancouver Canucks. Shockingly, the Vancouver Canucks are the only team that are still undefeated. Vancouver Canucks are off to a great start, as I mentioned before, but I don't expect them to sustain that for the whole season. The Vancouver Canucks have controversy in goal with Jacob Markstrom playing really well. What happens when Ryan Miller comes back? Their defense is so-so at best. They have Chris Tanev, Alex Edler, they have Ben Hutton, they have recently acquired Gudbranson, they have the Sedin twins, the recently acquired Louis Eriksson. That first line should be fine, but then afterwards, there lies the question mark. Can their depth keep up their scoring? At 10, the Los Angeles Kings. Originally, I had the Kings making the playoffs marginally, but now I don't have the Kings making the playoffs because of one reason. The injury to Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick is out for at least 3 to 4 months. That's huge, which means they're going to rely on Jeff Sackhoff to be their goalie. Jeff Sackhoff is not going to steal you games like Jonathan Quick can. So just because of that reason, the Los Angeles Kings are not going to make the playoffs. Combine that with the fact that they lost depth this season, they don't have anyone to play on the left wing along with Kopitar. The top line right now, I believe, is Dwight King, Dustin Brown, and Anze Kopitar. That's not a great first line. At number 9, I have the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets are a very intriguing team. They have very good young talent. They have the number 2 pick in the 2016 draft in Patrick Laine, who will be a stud. They have a big question mark in goal with Connor Hellebuyck and Michael Hutchison tending the goal. That's my only question mark with the Jets. We know they can score, but can they keep the puck out of the net? At number 8, the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild are a borderline playoff team, but with the injury to Jonathan Quick and the Jets possibly going through some growing pains, I would say the Minnesota Wild make the playoffs because Zach Parise, when healthy, is good. They have some good depth up front. They have a good coach in Bruce Boudreau, so I think they'll make the playoffs. Number 7, St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues lost some depth with Troy Brouwer. Troy Brouwer is a pretty big loss, actually. They lost Brian Elliott to the Calgary Flames. They should be still fine. They have Tarasenko. They have Robbie Fabry. They still have the same defensive core. They still have Ken Hitchcock, who's on his final season. This is the Blues' last season to make one last push with Ken Hitchcock. At number 6, I have the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks are a very intriguing team because seemingly the last 2 years they started slow, but you know they have the talent to finish the season off strong. They started off last season off pretty slow and finished last season off pretty good. So you know they have the ability to make the playoffs even if they're in a hole. At number 5, the Edmonton Oilers. Surprise, we have the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying that Connor McDavid is that good, but he's that good. He's good enough to lift the team up, because when you're talking about a generational player, he makes all the players around him better. That's the only difference in the team, really. And the fact that they added Chris Russell and Adam Larson, two players that will definitely make the defense better. The biggest question mark I really have with the Oilers is Cam Talbot. But with the new defense in front of him and the scoring prowess of McDavid's line, I think they should be okay. And because the Pacific Division is noticeably weaker. At number 4, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks lost some depth up front, which may cause them to drop a bit in the standings. I had a little debate whether I should put the Predators third or Chicago third, but I put the Predators third because their defense is a little better and their offensive depth is a little better. Chicago Blackhawks is, as you know, the 3-time Stanley Cup champion in the last 6 years. They know how to win. They know how to get into the playoffs. What matters to the Blackhawks is that they make the playoffs. At number 3, as I mentioned before, I have the Nashville Predators. They acquired PK Subban for Shea Weber in an offseason trade. They basically have the same team. This is Ryan Johansson's second season with the team. He basically spent half a season with the Nashville Predators. Ryan Johansson should do a lot better this season. At number 2, the Dallas Stars. Even though the Dallas Stars have some injuries right now, the dynamic duo of Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn should be good enough. And you have Jason Spezza as your second-line center. And you have John Klingberg, Johnny Oduya, Steven Johns. You have a pretty good defense. The only question mark with the Stars is goaltending. But in the regular season, your offense should be good enough. At number 1, I have the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks are so stacked, it's ridiculous. There's no way around it. The Sharks are definitely the best team on paper in the Western Conference. They have a really good offensive 4 lines. They have a great 3 pairs, and they have a goalie in Martin Jones that's been to the finals and will do really good. So those are my standing predictions. Here are my player awards for the regular season. This does not include postseason awards, and these are just the major awards. The President Trophy winner will be the Washington Capitals. For Hart Trophy, I have Sidney Crosby if he's healthy. If not, I have it going to Connor McDavid. Lady Byng, Patrice Bergeron. Vezina, Carey Price if he's healthy. If not, I have it going to Corey Schneider. If the Devils make the playoffs, Corey Schneider will win it. Jennings Trophy goes to Braden Holtby. Calder Trophy goes to Austin Matthews. Selke Trophy goes to Jonathan Toews. Art Ross Trophy goes to Sidney Crosby if he's healthy. If not, it will go to Connor McDavid. The Rocket Richard Trophy goes to Alex Ovechkin. The Norris Trophy will go to Victor Hedman. That's the shocking surprise. And the Ted Lindsay Award goes to Connor McDavid. The Jack Adams Trophy will go to John Cooper. So those are my standings and player awards predictions for the 2016-17 NHL season. Next, I will be talking about the craziest NHL trades of all time.